Welcome to Bruges, Belgium. It is known as a magical fairy tale town, and it totally lives up to its name. But it's been through a lot of ups and downs in its history. We're going to go over that. But also, most importantly, we're going to see what it looks like today.
But first, we're in Belgium, and I can't resist this.
This is a waffle stick. A waffle in any shape. When in Bruges, ride a canal boat, and it's a lot cheaper than it is in Venice.
The canals were built in the 12th century to give access to the North Sea, and that access made Bruges a mecca for commerce and trade. While it is known as the Venice of the North, there's something critically different. Bruges isn't sinking. What we're going to now is the Basilica of the Holy Blood. First of all, it's super old. Inside is the Holy Blood.
Or at least believers believe it to be so.
So what is the Holy Blood? It's the blood of Jesus Christ. It was collected by Joseph of Arimathea. He was the one who paid for the tomb that Jesus Christ was buried in. How did the blood get here? Well, there's all kinds of stories. Some people think it came here during the Second Crusade between 1157 and 1159. Other ones say that it came later after the sack of Constantinople in 1204, because there's no real evidence of it being here till the 1250s. This is the Cathedral of Our Lady. Two claims to fame here. One, it was built in the 1250s, 60s, 70s, something like that. The other thing is, it's got a wicked tall brick tower. In fact, it's about 400 feet, making it the second largest brick church tower in the entire world. And inside, you get a bonus, a sculpture from Michelangelo. Now, Michelangelo doesn't have a lot of sculptures outside of Italy, but there's one in there, so worth checking out. Roam around Bruges, you might get lucky. Actually, it doesn't take much luck to spot a swan. There's 150 of them, and well, they've been here since the 15th century, and the city thought of the swans as a symbol of status and power. Kind of reminds me of my Filipino parents who thought having a Mercedes is status and power. Well, the Bruges folks thought swans did that. In 1488, the Emperor of Bruges, Maximilian of Austria, took over because his wife Mary died. He imposed serious taxes, and the folks didn't like it. Taxes were to pay for the wars the Austrian Habsburg family was undertaking, and he's the head of the Habsburg family.
People here were really furious
About all these taxes, so they threw him in jail, they threw his town administrator into jail. The town administrator also happened to be his best friend, cut his head off. Maximilian was able to negotiate his release on the premise that he was going to stop the taxes, and he did. But he was still holding a grudge against the Bruges people that killed his best friend. He told them that they had to maintain these swans through all eternity. Otherwise, he was going to bring on some crazy apocalyptic kind of stuff. Well, the people, even to this day, are afraid of flooding because of Maximilian, so they maintain the swans here. The de Havemont Brewery has been around for 6 generations, and they were running into a capacity problem. Their bottling, their brewery, all in one place right here in the middle of town. So what they did was they put the bottling plant about 3 miles away. They needed to transport all that beer into the city, and they usually use 300 tankers. They came up with an idea, a beer pipeline, 3 miles. Parts of it went to 67 meters down below. And it wasn't just the money, which was like 4 million euro. It was the buy-in from the residents. You know, you were digging underneath their property. And how did they get the buy-in? Crowdfunding. 7,500 euro would give a person a bottle of beer for life. And their beer's pretty good. We're at something called the Beguinage. This community started about 1245, and
The last Begin died in 2013. These women were not nuns, they were just laywomen.
who wanted to live a pious, celibate life. When you walk around, you're asked to be very quiet. This is still well preserved here because they want to have people remember what it was like to live in the Middle Ages for a certain group of people. If you want to get out of the city just for a little while, even though Bruges is stunning, and why would anybody want to leave that, you could check out some windmills. That's right, windmills. They're not just in the Netherlands, and actually Bruges is so close to the Netherlands. We're about 160 miles, give or take, from the border. Windmills started around, depending upon who you talk to, it was either Persian or Chinese back in either 600 or 900 AD. It was about converting wind to energy. There used to be tens of thousands of windmills here in Belgium and the Netherlands. Not so much anymore. There's still a few around though. What they're used for besides converting energy. Depending upon how the sails are positioned, they actually sent messages, whether somebody was looking for help, even announcing the birth of a child, some big festive event. But during World War II, they were used to warn the locals that the Nazis were coming. As you can imagine, during World War II, the Nazis didn't want them operational. We're going to go up this belfry. It's a clock tower. It dates back to 1240. Used to be about 100 stories tall, and now it's only 83 because of a fire in 1741. It's 366 steps, so it's not for the faint of heart. Thank you. We got here in the morning, so it's actually not that hot. Since this is a bell tower, after all, here's one of the bells. There's 47 of them, and they weigh a total of 27 tons. Can you imagine dragging that up here way back in the Middle Ages? The bells served a lot of purposes. It was basically linked the townspeople together. It signaled fire alarms and big events, helped people figure out when to go to work, when to go home. Pretty cool. This stop is called the drum room, and we actually see how the clock works behind the scenes. The clock itself is made in 1748. We're told that this tower is older than the Tower of Pisa, the Eiffel Tower, and Big Ben. It's 800 years old. So was it worth climbing up these steps? Definitely. Yeah, I would recommend coming in the morning. The sun is in the perfect spot. The great thing about a town like Bruges, it's safe to walk around, and there's a million different things you can see. Oh, look at there, a store made for me. Must go in. Chocolate and my name. What a winning combination. Gosh, look at this box. How cute is that? We are at the De Vos almshouses. They were built in the 14th century by the wealthy of the Bruges community. They were housing for orphans, the homeless, people who just couldn't afford anything. I think it's really cool that even back in the 12th century, the community banded together and still were thinking of others. Now it's being used as housing for the elderly, and there's still nearly 4 dozen of them still around. After years of neglect, Bruges was transformed by a book. In 1892, Georges Rodenbach wrote Bruges La Morte. He included photos of Bruges, and people fell in love. It became one of the top destinations in Europe at the time. Bruges transformed by a book. Who would have thunk it? You walk around town, and pretty much the architecture is brick Gothic. But there are 2 examples left of wooden houses. They date back to the Middle Ages. They were banned in the 17th century because of the risk of fire. You see the second floor, and there are no real windows. You have a window, you have to pay taxes. If you have no window, no taxes on that. So people were pulling out their windows. One of the cool things about travel is you learn about these quirky facts, and Bruges happens to be the home of the first stock exchange. In the 1200s, the merchants from other countries would come here and haggle. The stock exchange remained here in Bruges till 1997 when Brussels took it over.
You are about to travel back in time to Bruges in the Middle Ages. Welcome to Historium.
Inside the story, filming will not be permitted.
Okay, that's fine.
Is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
Look straight ahead. After 10 seconds, you can look around.
All right, here we go. Virtual reality. Ooh. Okay, I can't film after this, so I'll tell you how it is later. So did Historium deliver? Well, yes, actually. It was a very different kind of museum than I've ever been to. Combination of virtual reality, very interactive, took you to different rooms and told a story.
you'll find out that Bruges hasn't changed that much since the 1400s, which is probably why UNESCO put it on the World Heritage List.
I hope you enjoyed this tour of Bruges. There's so much to do and so much I didn't do. It makes me want to come back, like tomorrow, but I'm leaving. So hopefully this makes you want to come to Bruges or make a return visit. Thanks for joining me on Mary Goes Round the World.
Here's a tip for you. If you want to buy souvenirs, go a little bit out of town. You're still in the center of town as far as history and whatnot, but we're right by where the Swans are, and the souvenirs are like €2 cheaper than they were like right in the center by the market. So save a few bucks, multiply it a few times, and I don't know, you can have a waffle for free.